Good morning, colleagues. Today the funeral of George Floyd, who was unlawfully killed, will take place. And I wanted to reaffirm my personal commitment and the commitment of our board to those who face injustice and unequal treatment. There is no place for racism here at HDFT. Like many others here, I was profoundly affected by what I saw. The approach taken to George during his arrest for allegedly using a forged $20 note compared to the arrest of others who've been arrested for far worse crimes over the years. It's a reminder in the most extreme form that we still have a really long way to go to achieve race equality. Many colleagues here at HDFT may have felt anxious and scared, not necessarily because of fear over the same treatment that George suffered, but because it reminds us of the experiences where colleagues are still treated differently. These events happen 4,000 miles away, but there are examples of different treatment of colleagues that exist right here in the UK, and if we're honest, right here in HDFT. It's reminded me of some of my own experiences that I've put to the back of my mind. Reminds me of my dad being asked on a bus where he got me from. Reminds me of being told in school that I should get back in my banana boat and go back to where I came from. And to this day, it reminds me that I appear to be one of the colleagues or one of the people who is regularly the subject of a random search at the airport or at an event. George Floyd will be a name that we will all, or that we should all, remember. Another more local name that I remember from my childhood is Stephen Lawrence, who was murdered in 1993. His mum gave evidence to the inquiry that followed his murder many years later. A number of her phrases have always stuck with me. One of them is that racism is subtle, and she said it's about how they talk to you. And that's reminded me of experiences that colleagues here have told me about. Colleagues have said that when my appointment was announced, and my picture was shared around the organisation, some people said, well, he doesn't look like a Steve. Other colleagues have told me about experiences when they've been told by a patient that they didn't want to be treated by a black person, and we've moved that colleague away and gone to find a white person to provide treatment instead. And a colleague has told me about their risk assessment that was undertaken recently as part of our response to coronavirus, and being told that they were having that risk assessment because people like them lived in crowded houses. And I've been told about derogatory comments made to colleagues who have been spending time in their religious pursuits at work, and derogatory comments being made about the time people have spent on that. Our 500 plus BAME colleagues deserve better than this. In saying that Black Lives Matter, nobody is saying that they're more important or that others aren't also important. But we have to be honest with ourselves that Black lives are not treated equally. And the only way that that stops is through all of us. Our board commitment is really simple. We will stamp out racism together, but that's really easy to say. In 1993, Stephen Lawrence's murder was a small column on page 4, and despite a really hard-hitting inquiry, the Macpherson inquiry, there is still so much to do. George's murder has ignited a call to the end to racism and injustice across the world. But if it's to be more than just a call, we have to look at ourselves and not at others. We are all part of the solution to end this. And it's no longer good enough for us to be neutral in situations such as this. Desmond Tutu's phrase, "If you are neutral, you have chosen the side of the oppressor," is something that we should think about long and hard. Changing this starts with ourselves. It is not for our BAME colleagues to lead the change and to ask for equal treatment. It is all of our responsibilities to champion this, and always to remember that what we put up with, we promote. I know that many colleagues here at HDFT are passionate about this and deeply committed to ensuring equal treatment for everybody. George's death should cause us all to think about our personal role in listening, learning, and acting to be part of a movement to end racism. Here at HDFT, without question, Black Lives Matter. Thank you.